I told you in the headlines that Anglophone Cameroonians have continued respecting Operation Ghost Town. Today was Operation Ghost Town in many parts of the two Anglophone regions of the country, and fear, tension and gunshots characterized the weekend in the southwest region. Several gun battles were recorded between separatist fighters and elements of the National Armed Forces, as Franklin Mwabe reports.
The weekend in the southwest region of Cameroon was characterized by fear, tension, gunshots and killings. On Friday, during the visit of French Secretary of State in charge of European and Foreign Affairs, Jean-Baptiste Lemoyne, the city of Buea was hit by a gun battle between military and separatist fighters at Mile 16, 17, 18 and Muya. The battle, which lasted for above 20 minutes, saw the closure of businesses, movement of vehicles and persons were paralyzed. The Secretary of State was accompanied to the governor's office amidst tight security. The meeting scheduled for civil society members, administrative and traditional authorities, according to reliable sources, was attended by council workers on behalf of the civil society members and traditional authorities who failed to attend due to fright and tension. In his visit, the French diplomat attested to the fact that Cameroon is diverse.
And I know that Cameroon is diverse, but I think that Cameroon can be very strong again in the world thanks to this unity and this ability to speak both English, French, but also language of origin. So I think that there is a huge potential, and it's a great hope, I think, for Cameroon.
On Saturday, the Muya neighborhood was hit by several gun battles which forced inhabitants to stay indoors. The separatist fighters broke into the Muya police station and freed prisoners. The Bokom filling station, directly opposite the police station, was also destroyed. In Kumbameme division, the corpse of a kidnapped police officer was found. While on Sunday, in the town of legendary hospitality Buea, the most busy and populated Muya market was forced to close down as gun battles between military and separatist fighters started in the early hours of the Sabbath day. Citizens were compelled to stay indoors for fear of stray bullets. While elsewhere in Penamboko, in the littoral region, which shared boundaries with Moyoka, the Gendarmerie Brigade was set ablaze by unidentified individuals. In Buea this morning, movement of vehicles was paralyzed as a severe ghost town was witnessed. Persons could be spotted walking for several kilometers. Even those wanting to escape Buea were frustrated at a bus station in Mile 17. Despite series of gun battles within the week, no casualty was recorded but for the arrest of many young persons who discovered the corpse of a policeman in the bush at a police checkpoint in Buea.
Reactions continue streaming in on government's more than 12 billion francs CFA humanitarian emergency aid plan to displaced persons in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon and those seeking refuge in their thousands in neighboring Nigeria. Senators of the Social Democratic Front, the main opposition political party in the Republic of Cameroon, have insisted on the point that the Anglophone crisis should be resolved first before any humanitarian action. They granted the press briefing today in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. EQUINOXE has the details.
According to the SDF senators during a press briefing in the nation's political capital Yaoundé, the institution of the Special Humanitarian Emergency Plan initiated by President Paul Biya to help displaced and aggrieved English-speaking Cameroonians in the northwest and southwest regions is less important than dialogue, which could be a possible solution to the Anglophone crisis.
We, the SDF senators, have expressed our reservations regarding the ongoing contribution or donations. Our reservations are predicated on the fact that priority should be given to inclusive dialogue that will lead to a lasting solution to the crisis. A project that focuses solely on addressing the humanitarian component of the crisis while violence escalates with every passing day is clearly designed to fail. For in our considered opinion, it is tantamount to putting the cart before the horse.
According to the SDF senators, ever since the humanitarian emergency plan was launched, the death toll continues to rise in the two English-speaking regions as violence and gun battle continue.
The question that begs for an answer is thus: under which emergency humanitarian assistance plan shall the additional losses be covered? A comprehensive approach is therefore required, beginning with an emergency peace plan that will stem the tide of violence and put an end to further killings, destruction of property, and displacement of persons.
To the opinion of the SDF senators, the proper approach to manage the humanitarian emergency plan would have been
the setting up of a commission headed by an independent personality that would include other political parties, religious, civil society, and traditional authorities to manage the humanitarian effort.
The senators find it unacceptable the persistent refusal by parliament to carry out debates on the Anglophone crisis, but instead are now compelled to contribute towards an effort over which the parliamentarians seem unable to control, despite their constitutional power to control government's action.
The SDF members of Cameroon's upper house of parliament equally express worries and of course anger against their fellow senators for ignoring a motion they tabled in parliament for proper consideration to be given to the Anglophone crisis. Senator Keze Emilia with the details.
We, the SDF senators, want to let the local and international press at large, and Cameroonians in particular, to know that at the beginning of the June 2018 ordinary session, we tabled a motion, copy here to attached, through the President of the Senate, which called for the setting up of a committee of inquiry to probe into the government's handling of the Anglophone crisis from October 2016 to the present date. Suffice it to hereby further inform the press and the Cameroonian public that since filing the said motion, and despite the fact that other businesses of the House that were tabled later have been addressed, our motion so far seems to have been simply ignored. From the foregoing and considering the importance and the timing of the Anglophone crisis, which is escalating by the day, it is our desire to let the public know the action taken by the senators of the Social Democratic Front, the SDF, with regard to this crisis that has rendered almost useless the lives of residents in the northwest and southwest regions of our country.
I told you earlier that Anglophone Cameroonians have continued observing the Operation Ghost Town as the Anglophone crisis continues deepening. The southwest regional capital, Buea, was more of a deserted city today, with the streets empty as inhabitants simply stayed indoors. Derek Jato, reporter in Buea, files in details.
Hi over there, welcome to mile 17 bus station. We are in Buea, the southwest regional capital. This is the deserted nature of the busiest spot of the town, the mile 17 bus station. There's no vehicle here. There are no passengers. There are no transporters. The place is totally deserted. We have not seen even one commercial store open. Today, Monday, July 2nd, 2018, declared by the Ambazonian Defense Forces as a ghost town, and the people of the southwest regional capital, Buea, they are compelled to respect this day in its entirety. And we are seeing it in practice, because we have been to mile 17 here that we are present. We have been to Moliko, the social heartbeat of the town. Hi over there, welcome to Moliko. Welcome to the social heartbeat of Buea. We are here at the main street into the town. As you can see behind me, it's totally deserted. We have been to mile 16. the main gateway into the Southwest Regional Capital. We have been to Munya, we have been to Buea Town, and the atmosphere is the same. All commercial stores are closed, all commercial vehicles down, and all commercial banks equally are not functional. But what has made this particular day so peculiar is the threat that came with it. Before today, the Ambazonian Defense Forces came out with what they call their own communique, calling all to respect this particular day. They told especially commercial vehicles, that is taxi men, that they have no option but to respect this day. That is why we have not seen even one commercial vehicle on the street of Buea this 2nd day of July 2018. As we were moving along the corridor of Buea, we saw a remnant. We have seen a car that was allegedly being set ablaze for violating, over not respecting a ghost town. That was last Monday. Before today, we have seen, of course, exchange between the security forces and the Ambazonian Defense Forces in broad daylight. The people of Buea are not only in their homes, but they are in their homes with panic, because what they say they have been scared of is finally living with them. I am Derek Jato for Equinox Television News, signing out from Mile 17 bus station.
Thanks a bunch. Derek Jato, our Southwest correspondent, reporting there from the regional capital, Buea. Now we take you to neighboring Nigeria, where there are thousands of Cameroonians seeking refuge in President Buhari's country in deplorable conditions. And as the crisis continues deepening, many continue leaving their homes because of confrontations between security forces and, of course, separatist fighters. Now, our reporter Davidson Maimo was in some of the areas where Cameroonians are seeking refuge in Nigeria, and he reports that their situation is quite deplorable.
Affamé depuis des semaines, ce sexagénaire reçoit de quoi.
We're sorry for the little error there with that report on the refugees in neighboring Nigeria, and indicated earlier that many of the refugees have died. Some are living in deplorable conditions, some are sick, and some have been facing a lot of difficulties because of their situation, because they abandoned their homes and just everything, and they are now seeking refuge in neighboring Nigeria. And I told you that Davidson Maimo, a reporter, was in some of the areas where the refugees are living, and he brought back this report. We'll be coming back to that report in our subsequent news editions. Now we take you to the country's lower house of Parliament, precisely to the hemicycle in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, where the members of Parliament have adopted the bill extending their mandate by 1 year. The bill was adopted today, but members of Parliament of the Social Democratic Front have decried what they consider as government's refusal to accept that the legislative elections are being extended because of the Anglophone crisis, and we talked to some of them. You will hear O.C. Joshua, who is the first vice president of the Social Democratic Front, in the excerpt coming up next.
Well, I think the position we have is a clear position. We feel, I would say, hurt by the fact that the government is unable to agree with the real reasons of the extension of that mandate, and that is our number one problem. We understand that the mandate is being extended because elections are not possible in the present circumstances in the Northwest and the Southwest, and instead of agreeing that there is a problem, they try to make us believe that it's a question of calendar. Now, the calendar is known since 1996. It's not something new. And I would like to say that the norm in the whole world is for general elections to hold. That is, you have all the elections on the same day. And the exception is to hold elections every year or every second year. So we cannot say that because we were going towards the norm, we want to go back towards an exception. And it is absolutely clear that the government is unable to agree with what each and every other Cameroonian sees, the fact that we are sliding into a civil war. and let them come and tell us that we have a problem. It's the same way they tell us there is absolutely no problem, and then the next day they ask for a humanitarian emergency contribution. It's exactly the same way on Friday this very House voted a bill that passed into law the fact that government is allowed to give 29 billion CFA to Elecam. And on Monday you come and cancel the election for which the 29 billion was envisaged. So it beats my imagination to understand how ridiculous we are in front of the eyes of Cameroonians and the rest of the world.
That was Honorable O.C. Joshua, first Vice President of the main opposition political party in the Republic of Cameroon, the Social Democratic Front, speaking there to Marcelin Gansop in Yaoundé, and he equally caught up with Honorable Roland Pang-Machi. He is a member of parliament of the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, CPDM political party, and this is what he had to say concerning the extension of their mandate by 1 year.
The extension of our mandate is very, very important at this time in point because, you know, as one of my colleagues just cited, once of your body is sick, it means the entire body is sick. We know the two regions, Northwest, Southwest, our brothers and sisters are angry. Some of them are in the bushes. And, you know, the head of state, our father of the nation, has decided to say it is now time for us to see what we can do for peace to reign. We don't national territory, and as such, he is the father of the nation. He knows exactly what he's going to do together with the member of parliament for us to see that peace should reign within Northwest, Southwest, East region, far north, so that the country should forge ahead. Because you know, when there's no peace, election is a far-fetched issue. When there's no peace, election will not probably be carried out within the national territory. And as such, we deemed it necessary to see that we'll see what we can do for these 12 months to bring everybody on board, on the table, to see that we live together, to see that peace will reign. I am asking especially those my brothers and sisters in the Northwest and Southwest to see that they should calm down. When you are angry, you cannot solve problem. When you are annoyed, you cannot handle your problem. You need to calm down yourself, calm down your temperament, and for all of us to see what we can do so that we handle the matter. There's a problem, we are going to solve. There's no problem without a solution, and all of us are going to look for a solution for the problem that they have tabled in front of the nation.
That was Honorable Roland Pang-Machi, a CPDM Member of Parliament, speaking to Marcelin Gansop in Yaoundé. In the report coming up next, we take a look at malnutrition, a major health problem that has killed many in the Republic of Cameroon, and the situation is even more critical in the far north region of the country. As for me, Armstrong Sander reports.
Malnutrition remains a serious problem in some localities across Cameroon. In the far north region of the country hit by the atrocities of the Boko Haram sect, many children have died as a result of malnutrition. In Mazi village, Mozogo subdivision of Mayochanaga divisions, inhabitants say malnutrition has killed more than 10 persons this year. Plan International reveals that 80% of children in Mazi have been affected by health problems related to malnutrition. The climatic condition and war against the Boko Haram sect is worsening the situation. We had a plethora of problems. We are certain there are certain families who cannot work during the rainy season because of rains. During the dry season, we had famine here. We used to have almost 10 to 20 deaths, but now the situation is changing. Going by Plan International, most parents, especially mothers who are in close contact with these children, do not have the necessary skills required to feed children correctly. This is why the international non-governmental organization Plan International, in collaboration with the German government, organized a cookery demonstration to empower women with cooking skills. They were trained on how to make pap using corn flour. Considering the violence suffered by some of these women in the hands of Boko Haram terrorists, Plan International and its partners equally used the occasion to comfort them with material gifts. Young women also benefited lessons on how to master and monitor their menstrual cycle.
African Union heads of states are meeting in Nouakchott, Mauritania, within the context of the 31st session of the African Union Commission Summit, and they are discussing corruption on the African continent. They are mapping out strategies on how to curb, or better still reduce, corruption in African countries, and this is because the corruption has been identified as a major hindrance to the development efforts of African nations, and this is why the heads of states are discussing on how to win the war against corruption as a major gateway to Africa's development. Of course, they're discussing security issues and other challenges affecting African countries. For greater details, here's an extract of the African Union chairman. He is Paul Kagame. Take a listen.
Thanks to the outstanding work of the committees of 15 finance ministers together with the Executive Council, the African Union has applied the golden rules and adopted the most credible and transparent budget in our history. Through this process, the 2019 budget presented to the Assembly for consideration has even been reduced by 12% compared to 2018. At the same time, contributions to the Peace Fund have never been higher. As a direct result of the growing confidence in our finances, the African Union is in a position to work forward toward a long-term partnership with the United Nations Security Council for stable funding for peacekeeping operations in Africa. Several more member states are expected to sign the Continental Free Trade Area at the summit, and 6 countries have already ratified.
I told you earlier that we're going to show you the deplorable situation in which thousands of Cameroonians are seeking refuge in neighboring Nigeria. They fled their homes as a result of the deepening Anglophone crisis. HANA reporter Davidson Maimo was in some of the areas where the Cameroonians are living in President Buhari's country, and this is what he brought back. We're sorry, we're not going to have that report in this newscast. That's it for the first segment. We're taking the smart side of the World Cup now. You're welcome to the smart side of the World Cup. Smanji Kangere, welcome.
Habila, good evening to you.
The big names are leaving the 2018 World Cup.
Yes, big names are leaving already at the World Cup, as you rightly put it. They have already left. They are not leaving. They already left. Thank God. One is still left. One big name is still in the competition in the cup race. I'm talking about Brazil. But we already know that the names like Argentina, names like Spain and Portugal. You know, Portugal were winners of the European Cup of recent. They have also left. So it is an all competition. It's a competition that we are still waiting. We are still waiting to see who is going to clinch the trophy at the end of the day, because for now the big names that many of us thought they are going to remain in the competition are already off.
Except Brazil, that made it through against Mexico earlier today.
Yes, Brazil actually had a very tough one, even though they went left during the first half without a goal. But they came back very strong with their supporters who were there in the pitch, going to give them that support. Hernandez, who is one of the top players for the Mexican side, is character. Neymar opened scores for Brazil in the second half of that encounter. Neymar, remember, is the captain of Brazil, and just to know that Neymar scored his 15 goals in 16 appearances in all competition this 2018. It was a good celebration for Neymar and Paulinho, who had a very good joy for them. And later on, it was another Brazilian goal that came in from Firmino and Roberto Firmino, and Roberto Firmino was actually scoring his first ever goal in the World Cup. And just to note, he was introduced into the game the 86th minute, and of course 89 minutes, that is just 3 minutes after he was introduced, he scored his very first goal in the World Cup history. So Firmino gave Brazil a 2-0 spanking of their opponents of the day, who are Mexico. So just to know that, as the case being, Mexico is off. Brazil continues the race, and to know that Brazil has been unbeaten in 15 competitive fixtures till date, except for the 1-0 defeat they had against Peru. That was in the Copa America 2016 competition at the group stage. Now, when we look at the performances between the two sides, we are talking about last FIFA World Cup performances. You will want to understand that 2018 is the 7th time that Mexico have been eliminated at the level of the 8 finals of the World Cup. They have been there in 1994, 1998, 2002, 2006, 2010, 2014, now 2018, only at the round of round of last 16 knockout phase that they have been eliminated. And for Brazil, it is the 7th consecutive time that they will be making it to the quarterfinals of the World Cup. So just to know that it is a team that has continued to keep its history intact. 94 they were there, they were winners. 98 they were finalists. 2002 they were winners. 2006 quarterfinalists, just like 2010. 2014 semi-finalists. 2018 we are at the level of the quarterfinals. Where will they arrive? That is at the level of we don't know, but anyhow we want to say that Brazil is going to go in front as we continue to see the fixtures. Now, at the level of the other game that will be coming up this evening, later this evening we are going to have another fixture for the knockout phase, which is none other than the match that is going to pit Belgium to Japan. It is going to be the last, it will be this one of the great matches everyone wants to watch. Remember, Japan benefited from the fair play rule that Senegal was booted out of the tournament. Belgium, they last met Japan, that was in 2002. Now, over the weekend, just wants to have a review.
France lock horns with Argentina, and Argentina of Lionel Messi kicked out of the country.
It was a weekend of, I don't know if I could put weekend of so many disappointment, as the youngest team this far, as they put it, eliminated the big man Lionel Messi. And of course it was a great surprise and a great football match that many people watched. France, who were leading, Argentina came and equalized, and at the end of the day it was 4-3 in favor of France, who continue their adventure to the level of the quarterfinals at the World Cup.
And that encounter has been qualified as the Mbappe game.
Yes, he is now one of the youngest in the world of football, or in the world of soccer, to have scored a goal. He's now one of the youngest persons in the world of soccer to have scored a goal. And Mbappe, maybe we'll go back to the pictures. Mbappe has been somebody who has, he was following the footsteps of the like of Ronaldo. He was following the footsteps of the like of Zinedine Zidane. When he was still a kid, Ronaldo was his, Ronaldo was his role model, and everywhere in his room, people say that he is now following the footsteps of Cristiano Ronaldo, whom unfortunately he is not going to continue at the level of the competition. So Mbappe is the youngest player now in the competition to have scored 3 goals already in that competition, as we continue to see wonders. And who says Mbappe might not score even 5 goals, 6 goals as the competition continues? He's still a young man, and that youthful exuberance is still in his body, and I'm sure he's going to do things when the time comes.
Now, Croatia versus Denmark.
Croatia versus Denmark was another hard game. It had knock to crack, and of course to know that it was one of the second games of the day yesterday, Sunday, that ended in post-match penalty shootout, because on regular play time it was 1-1 between Croatia and Denmark, and on penalty shootout Croatia booted out Denmark by 3-2. So Croatia is continuing. Remember, since 1998 World Cup, when they attained the level of semi-finals, Croatia has never ever finished after the group stages or knockout of a World Cup, but they are already advancing to the quarterfinal stage, which tells us that things are going to move on well. Now, the last game, or one of the last game that we're going to go back to, is a match that saw Portugal and Uruguay. It was another crunch encounter between these two guys. That is Diego. We have Luis Suarez, and of course Edison Cavani. And I want to say Edison Cavani was the first person to strike, and later we had Ronaldo, or we had the Ronaldo side that equalized, and Edison Cavani came again to put the goals up for 2-1 against Portugal. So Portugal were knocked out of the competition. Cristiano Ronaldo was left to himself. And finally, just to note that the World Cup produced a wonderful surprise for many of his onlookers. For those who are engaged in betting, they were so surprised that these two talents, I'm talking about Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, they were booted out of the competition at the knockout phase. And of course, it is Cristiano Ronaldo who went home so disappointed, hoping that he was going to move at least to the level of the semi-finals, but Cristiano Ronaldo was unable to attain that level, just as Lionel Messi, who was also unable to attain that level. So they are all back home. Certainly they'll be watching the competition from the screen. And maybe before we go, we talk about this man that they call Iniesta, to know that Iniesta was one of the greats of Spain. Before the World Cup, he had already resigned from club football. Now he is taking another foot, and after this World Cup, or after their loss, Iniesta has also decided to actually drop international football with his country. Iniesta has decided to resign. So Iniesta is no longer going to play with the Spanish squad, as he resigns at the end of the day. So Spain was eliminated by Russia, host nation, post-match penalty shootout. You notice that. So those were the two matches of yesterday that ended in penalty shootout, and it is all over for those great names. As I earlier mentioned, this evening we have Belgium to confront Japan. Tomorrow we shall come back here with other records that must have made today's encounters.
Thanks, Smart Jikan Gebre, the smart side of the World Cup, ending this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television. Thanks for staying with us. Goodbye.